Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum viewers. I'm your host SM Hali presenting another edition of Defense and Diplomacy. A number of events have taken place in our neighborhood in the near past. Most importantly, as far as Afghanistan is concerned, there was a heinous attack in Kabul which took a major toll of human lives. There was an outlet or a backlash from the Afghan president. We are told that two Afghan Taliban leaders are visiting Pakistan. So in this background, we will be talking about the Afghan peace process. And to do that, we are honored to have in the studio today two stalwarts. We have with us Ambassador Ayaz Wazir, who has spent many important years in Kabul and otherwise analyzes the topic very closely. Welcome to the show, sir. We have with us Brigadier Ishaq Khattak, who has also been following this particular topic very, very closely. Welcome, sir. Ambassador Ayaz Wazir, do you think we are on the right track as far as the Afghan peace process is concerned, when we means both Afghanistan and Pakistan?
Well, I was just going to say that yes, we are on the right track, but we too are not on the right track, unfortunately.
Maybe we are not on the same page.
Well, I think we have not left it as yet, but obviously the concern of Ashraf Ghani, which he spelled out in his speech day before yesterday. But looking at his position within the unity government, I think we have to give him a little concession for that. Because before that, in the meetings of the quadrilateral commission, this thing was agreed upon that those Taliban who would not come for negotiation, joint action or collective action or action would be taken against them. Now, that was taken, which he quoted, that I have a written statement or a written commitment from Pakistan side in this process that action would be taken against such elements. Now, in Kabul, the incident, that unfortunate one, in which 64 were killed and more than 300 injured, that was, responsibility for that was claimed by Taliban and I think the Haqqani group. And then he pointed his finger at Haqqani group, that okay, you take action against Haqqani group. But my point is, up till this, yes, okay, maybe he is right if one looks at it purely from analytical point of view. But Haqqani was not there only at that time. Haqqani is with the Taliban since
the Taliban were formed.
Exactly. So, and he is occupying the second most important position now in the Taliban. He is number 2 to Mullah Mansour. Now, if you are willing, Ashraf Ghani or the unity government, to talk to the Taliban, then you cannot put a condition in advance that they would not hit me, only then I'll talk to, unless they have already agreed to ceasefire. Ceasefire was not agreed upon by them, but the four countries undertook the responsibility of using their contact to bring the Taliban to the negotiating table. Now, that process was on, and Pakistan was trying to do it, and I think one or two Taliban have already come from Qatar to Islamabad.
We will talk on that aspect in a little while, but yes.
I mean, what I'm
it's a development.
Exactly. This is what I'm trying to emphasize, that Pakistan had not refused not to use its good offices with the Taliban to bring them for negotiation. Now, as far the fighting is concerned, yes, the claim was made or led by the Haqqani group, but Haqqani or Taliban are already in a state of war with the government in Afghanistan. That's why they have to come and talk to each other. Now, for that to accuse only Pakistan that you have since agreed upon, now come on and shoot everybody, that I don't think anyone would do. And then he should also not forget that Pakistan had a very, very long association with the Taliban. This is no state secret. We had recognized the Taliban government and we had good relations with them. And even Sartaj Aziz, our advisor to the Prime Minister on Foreign Affairs, has recently said in the States in his presentation at one place that yes, they are living with us, but we would try to use our influence with them for convincing them to come to the negotiating table. But as I said in the beginning, Ashraf Ghani's position within Afghanistan was very weak when he started with, say, good relations with Pakistan. He came here, a long story I would not repeat. And then we went there. We were almost on the same page, but then things happened in Peshawar and over there. In that, Ashraf Ghani lost a lot of political capital. Now, this time, if you recall, when the Kabul incident happened, Abdullah Abdullah, who was supposed to come here on the 2nd and 3rd of May, immediately announced cancelling his visit, fearing that if I do, I'll also be losing my political capital back at home, because everybody was together that, look, Haqqani has laid a claim, now Pakistan is responsible. How can Pakistan be responsible? I think, to sum it up, the best would be that Pakistan should be rather supported to influence the Taliban to bring them here, and same responsibility the others should do, because every member, all the four, agreed upon that they will use their individual influence also to
get the Taliban on the negotiation table.
Exactly. Now, what are the others doing? What is even, let's go to the unity government in Afghanistan. What is the unity government doing? What has they, I'm sure they are in touch with the Taliban. So where is the end product of that?
Exactly, and unfortunately some of them are even opposing sitting on the same table as Taliban. But coming to you, Brigadier Ishaq, I think Ashraf Ghani's ire, his anger, his angst is understandable, and some of the reasons the ambassador just rightly pointed out, some of it is his reliance on Pakistan as well as his weak position over there. But still, what do you think of the latest developments? Are we on the right track?
Thank you, Ali sir. I think Ambassador was right when it says that Ashraf Ghani has been on a weaker pedestal when he started as a president and Abdullah chief executive. It's a unity government which was forced, I would say, ultra-constitutional arrangement was made after the second round of the election, and some arrangement was to be made that who should be the head of the state, Abdullah. So right from the beginning, though his stance was very good, he wanted a peace, which everybody of course liked. The way he approached Pakistan and all those things which occurred in the initial few months, I would say, that indicated that yes, things would improve. Unfortunately, his grip on the government is not that strong because of the other influences made by the Abdullah Abdullah or the Indian influence or the American influence. Everybody, I think now things are very clear that how much he is under pressure when it comes down to insecurity in Afghanistan. Maybe start from Kabul, the initial attacks, if you can recall, then the Kunduz attack, and then coming down to Helmand side and all those things that indicated the initial outburst of Ashraf Ghani in those times. And now again, unfortunately, the stalling of talks and again resumption and the fresh efforts. Now people were thinking that yes, the third round or fourth round of the four quadrilateral meeting would occur, but the timings were difficult. Why timings were difficult? The summer offensive timings, which is the warring season in Afghanistan, because of the temperature, because of the melting down, Taliban were slowing down their talking, you could say, mechanism with the Afghan authorities, because they wanted to reach at a very strong position so they could dictate terms when they sit on a table.
But this, you being a military man would appreciate more than others that it is always the norm of the game that you try and assume a position of strength so that you negotiate from that position.
So that is the reason there was a delay. And last 2.5 months, I would say 3 months, there was absolute calm and quiet, except the Taliban activities which were going on. And those activities had started taking pace. And the final one which struck in the Kabul, and where their important area was struck, and the death and the American embassy right opposite. So that, and then acceptance by, of course,
Haqqani.
But as everybody knows by now, I think Haqqani was a later name given to those lot which was in the, you could say, in host area, and Haqqani has always been very famous in that area, because Jalaluddin has been fighting not today, the old warlord, that 7 warlords party. So he was fighting with Mullah Omar, and that was one flag under which they were fighting. So if they are today saying that Haqqani is a separate entity, I think they should. They should.
You should take it with a pinch of salt.
Yeah. No. So coming back again, yes, the outburst was okay, but outburst on Pakistan, that is not okay.
That is a little harsh.
That is a little harsh, because we all are trying to bring peace to Afghanistan.
And end of the day, Pakistan is perhaps the only sincere friend which Afghanistan has, which they have to realize. Let me solicit the opinion of the diplomat amongst us, Your Excellency. It's a long road ahead, but very thorny. And of course, the spring offensive, or now which is turning into summer offensive, has also become a reality with this latest attack. Although the winter was not even calm, the field commanders must be rejoicing, because they don't want talks. They want to continue fighting. So what do you think of the long road ahead?
Well, what the Afghan people expect of us, I would begin from there.
Okay.
Is that once we have started the reconciliation process, like Ashraf Ghani said, and before that Karzai used to say, that you have either friendship with us or with them. You can't have friendship with both.
You can't run with the hare and hunt with the hounds.
Exactly. And then we raised their hopes a little too high when our Prime Minister went to Kabul and said, I remember that famous sentence, that your enemies cannot be our friends. And their enemies obviously are known. Now, their enemies are sitting with you. Now, what do? The option is either throw them out or twist their hands, use your influence to come and talk to them. I personally am in support of the views that throwing them would be making them more difficult for the Afghans and for us both. Because other countries are there, reported in the media. I was yesterday reading a very famous person's article naming the country which are in touch with the Taliban. So if you kick them out, throw them into Afghanistan, get lost, you are not listening to us, you are fighting with them, you are their enemy, so you are my enemy, kick out. Fine, okay, you have done it. But in Kabul, in Afghanistan, the other countries would be doing more than what you have been doing. Now, they would be more lethal than they are now. Wouldn't it be better, in my very honest opinion, to use Pakistan, use Pakistan's influence or friendship with the Taliban to bring them to the table, but at the same time put a condition or make Pakistan agree to this one particular point, that those sitting with you would not be allowed to cross the border into Afghanistan and would not be given arms and ammunition from your country to be used there. Because Taliban are not only this who are sitting here, plenty of them across in Afghanistan and plenty of ammunition and everything over there in the country.
And their field commanders are there who are doing the actual fighting.
Exactly. Actual fighters are inside. Over here is the leadership. Fine, agree, okay, we would not. But then you have to undertake the responsibility of not letting the anti-Pakistani element cross the border from there. This is, what do you say, reciprocal. If I have to do, you have to do also. Now, is the Afghan government in that position to seal its border? I am convinced we are. We can do it.
In fact, we have a intention of doing it,
Exactly.
but it is the Afghans who are...
They do not have that much strength. And then the division or the disunity between the unity government. I don't understand the policy of the United States of imposing a person who has lost election against a person who is a president and he is sitting with him as a prime minister. Where on earth have we seen such an arrangement? And he is not only a figurehead or a dummy prime minister kind of or a chief executive, he is all powerful. And the US Secretary of State just a few days back when he was in Kabul, he even removed the last hurdle which many people were raising, that the 2 years period of Abdullah Abdullah, during which the lawyer Jirga was to be called in to endorse his the creation of this post, so that it is given a legal cover. Right now, this position is not there in the Constitution. So right now, he is illegally sitting there, only because the American wanted. But the term was 2 years, so people waited, because there is no lawyer Jirga meeting, nothing of the sort. So he said that no, he is not for 2 years, he is for a full 5 terms here. I mean, where on earth will he accept the same condition tomorrow when the losing candidate demands that, well, you want to be a vice
president or number 2. Anyway.
This all speaks for the policy that is followed in Afghanistan. I wish Ashraf Ghani was a powerful president, like Hamid Karzai was in his own days. Ashraf Ghani is a clear-headed person. He knows where to go. He knows how to approach, but he has his limitations. Somebody is putting his foot on his head.
True. And Brigadier, the ambassador mentioned the role of the US, and US is also part of the quadrilateral coordination group. One development I noticed the other day was that the Vice President, Abdul Rashid Dostum, was refused visa to USA. Instead, he ended up in Moscow. So what do you make of this?
Actually, Dostum has been labeled as a war criminal, and not because initial, if I'm not wrong, 96 Taliban attack in Mazar Sharif, and then even after that, there was so much, and this is not the first time he has been refused.
I know.
This has been quite some time now, and of course he has to land up in Russia because that is the only area which he initially supported, and Jumbesh-e-Milli has been quite active and brutal when it comes down. So I think the Americans remain under pressure, their Congress and human rights and all those issues. But coming back to the role which the US has to play. Although there are certain people who believe that what is Russia, what is the American to do now, I think they should wind up and pack up and leave, because that is the only reason for Taliban to fight.
In fact, that is one of the preconditions.
The only reason which the Taliban say whenever they sit on a negotiating table or whenever they are talking on a media or any place, they just say one precondition. They say, we don't want the invading forces to be present in Afghanistan. And that is the reason that we are fighting with the government, because they are the one who has allowed the American to come and fight with us, and they are killing us. So we in return have to fight. And well, they are right when it comes down to that. What is the Afghan war at the moment? Initially it was jihad against Russian, then it was infighting between them, and then the infighting Taliban and Northern Alliance. But what since 9/11. Since 9/11, it's been almost 16 years now. The only reason the Taliban say is that American or the international forces or the NATO, they are the invaders and they are fighting the invaders, because it is Taliban's homeland as it is any Afghan's homeland, and they have to fight it, and they have been fighting historically throughout. So coming again, the discussion was that what is to be done, what is the next coming up. I think we have to be very clear now that peace in Afghanistan is not an easy game. It's a difficult work because of so many stakeholders and those who
so
don't
many
want
impediments in the way of the peace process.
And then is the mistrust which exists between the various parties. Like Taliban do not trust American. Taliban did not trust CASA government, because what was the reason was because of the promises which were made in the initial, not direct one-to-one talks, but track 2 diplomacy activity. This was the first time in the history that they sat across, the Taliban sat across and started discussing it. When we look at the initiative which started from Murray, that was the Pakistan
last year,
effort.
July 7th.
Yes. So Pakistan, I believe, is working hard toward the peace because of the 2 reasons, I would say. One is the military campaign which is going on in Waziristan and entire FATA area, and second is the effort of bringing Taliban towards the negotiating table. So these 2 efforts are indicative that yes, we want peace. And we are the bigger loser. I always say Afghanistan is at war, so they have to be loser or winner on side. But Pakistan is a neighboring country
with a direct impact of this particular war.
Peace or war, in both cases, Pakistan has to lose and win. Good peace, there is a big market. I always say Afghanistan is a big market for Pakistan because they don't have industry. Their only livelihood has been fruits and animal husbandry, that's all.
Exactly.
Their economic
but a lot has been offered by Pakistan and also some of the other members of the quadrilateral group. But Ambassador, tell me, there has been a lot of discussion on peace, but isn't it time that we move forward to a meaningful action-oriented program?
Well, true. This is what everybody thought when Ashraf Ghani came here, and I think that was the best way of showing his sincerity, and then we returned equally in the same coin. We were going very well, but let's not forget, as you said, I am repeating those words, that there are too many players in Afghanistan. Too many stakes are involved. I used to say even then, and I wrote on that look, it's very easy to be on the same page for Ashraf Ghani and us, but there are big players, individuals and states whose stakes are involved, who would not like Pakistan and Afghanistan to be on the same page permanently and very thickly, or to bring Taliban, patch up with the Afghan government, peace returns to Afghanistan. Afghanistan has very good relations with Pakistan. That is an ideal situation that everybody talks, wants, and we particularly are, as they say, dying for it. But how do we do it? In Afghanistan and even in Pakistan, there are players, there are people who benefit a lot when the situation is not so peaceful. And then there are countries, particularly within the region and outside also, who are quite happy with the situation like this. When peace returns, when Taliban, say, become a part of the government in Afghanistan, complete peace in Afghanistan, excellent relation with Pakistan, then what would those people do who are now individually and as a country having a free hand to themselves? Now for that we have to work and focus on and concentrate to make the leadership there and here. I would be very blunt. Leadership over here in the military, leadership here in the civil. In Afghanistan, leadership in the unity government and leadership in the Taliban. Now these four have somehow either to sit together or have a person or a group of very limited people in whom they can confide to talk out their hearts and accept this fact that come what may, we would not deviate from it. God forbid, 20 blasts in Peshawar, 30 blasts in Kabul, we are not going to leave this path. Come what may, we are not going to leave this path. That is the only way. Otherwise, derailing this is no difficult at all.
It's so simple. One shot fired and...
Exactly. One shot fired and somebody uses Afghanistan cell over here or Pakistani cell over there, or even laying a claim that I have done it and then running away across. This is so easy now. This is not to be allowed. And then on top of that, the big powers, particularly America, is to be convinced or is to be told bluntly that what you are following is neither good for you nor good for the region. Otherwise, the use of the might on earth for so long in Afghanistan, if they couldn't achieve their objective through them, what else? Can that be done through the limited force in Afghanistan? So if that was a failure, in my assessment, America knows it for sure, it was a complete defeat in Afghanistan, but they are avoiding to use the word, instead draw down from Afghanistan. Fine, then leave it to the people who are living here. We are not your enemy. Afghanistan is not your enemy. And I would go even to say, to the extent the Taliban are not your enemy, but let these three come together to bring peace. And once peace is restored, you have a good day over here, we have a good day, and everybody has a good day. But those, as I said, I repeat, those who are now fishing heavily in the disturbed water would never allow it to be calm, because then in the peaceful water they cannot fish around.
The ambassador has spelt his mind very clearly, and shedding diplomatic nuances, he has said things in black and white. But in your opinion, Brigadier, what are the actions which should be taken to make sure that this is not just lip sympathy as far as peace process is concerned, and it moves beyond the rhetoric and the talk?
I think once we said that there are so many stakeholders, so who are the one who are directly affected? Taliban and Afghan government, Afghan populace, to be very specific when it comes down. Pakistan side, of course, yes, the frontier province, I would say the KPK and Balochistan and the FATA areas, all are suffering, and then who all are to be made to sit so that we stop fighting. And the warring sides are two, the Afghan government and the Taliban. But who are making them fight? That is the area.
The ones who are holding the puppet strings.
Yes. So those who are making them fight, we need to do one thing, is that the Taliban have to be stopped, but how? Is just sitting on negotiating table, having a good meal in a good temperature, and ultimately giving a joint statement. No, that is not the way.
That's why what I'm asking, how do we move beyond this?
We need to, American presence. I have only one reason. American presence is the reason for the fighting at this very moment. So how can this American presence be reduced? You got to give the timeline. That, okay, drawdown was the initial word which was used. Now,
but I'm afraid, sir, even over there, the goalposts are being moved. First, they were supposed to move, return the
2015, 2016, 2017. So this is how the things are moving. Now, this is where the trust is gone.
Yes.
So how to restore that trust? That if they say we will be leaving by end of 2016, supposedly, And if end 2016 in October, November somewhere, again the fighting graph goes higher and they say, oh no, it's not possible. So let's sit for another year. So the fighting continues. Either make the Afghan national security forces strong enough so that they can control the security graph. Let the American leave. Afghans have been ruling this country for centuries.
And they have never tolerated invaders.
Yes. So let them do it their way. Why are we imposing? We means everybody else who are the players, may it be Russian, Chinese, American, British, Pakistan, Iranian, Indian, name the country which is not there. So why are we trying to give them a government which, or the system which we prefer for them? No, it has to be the Afghan sought out, the Afghan believed, Afghan made government.
Or the cliche which we use, Afghan owned.
Afghan owned peace is to be there. Afghan owned peace and resolve and solution. We are trying to impose. So American have to decide that what they have to talk when they sit across, and Chinese have to support not the American but the peace formula. So give them. The reason for fighting is American.
Brigadier, where the shoe pinches is that we have the so-called quadrilateral coordination group, but within this also there is distrust. The Americans may welcome Chinese role, but in the heart of hearts they are distrustful of them. The Afghans are distrustful of us. The only two players who are probably having good relations in this are Pakistan and China.
But that is, what is it? That is the reason the peace is not coming. So we need to, I believe, get out of those shackles of interest-oriented activity in Afghanistan. Because there's so much of wealth, underground wealth. Yes, people are talking of lithium, and people are talking of copper, and people are talking of gold and gas reserve and energy corridors and all those things. Those are coming up. They need to, and of course.
But everything is on a hold until peace returns.
Yes, peace has to return.
If you allow, I would like to solicit the opinion of you, Ambassador. You mentioned briefly you can take a horse to the water, but you can't make it drink. That is true also of the Taliban. People expect that we will bring them shackled or bound and make them sit on the negotiation table and talk. It's not possible. You mentioned that there are two Taliban leaders, probably Shahabuddin and Madni, who are here. So could you shed light? What are they doing, and do we expect anything from their visit to Pakistan?
Well, look, they are here obviously giving a message that we want to talk.
Okay.
The complete negation of it, they have not said it. I don't think they have completely refused that we are not talking. So their coming here indicates that they are willing to talk, or I would say that gives strength to the Pakistani efforts that look, some body or some representatives are here. Now talk to them. But Ashraf Ghani has already put a break to it by saying that we don't need anything from Pakistan.
But probably that was a temporary outburst. Hopefully good sense will prevail.
No, this is the problem. We shouldn't involve ourselves in that when we had already agreed. I believe the two sides, after the first Peshawar incident, then the second Peshawar incident, then the first Kabul incident, they had agreed that we would not go public about our reservation against each other, and we would talk to each other. Now, Ashraf Ghani should not have accused Pakistan directly through media. He could have easily conveyed it to the government here, his concern, because we were moving, though the pace had become a bit slower.
Talking about diplomatic, yesterday our ambassador was called to the Foreign Office in Kabul, and he was accused of sponsoring this cross-border firing.
Well, that becomes then a norm if the trust goes from within particularly with Afghanistan. I remember way back when I was still in service, during the Soviet days particularly, we used to call the Afghan charge almost every day to the Foreign Office, and the same used to happen to our charge in Kabul. And the famous saying on both sides was that they had demanded a room in the offices there instead of coming from home. Then that becomes a norm, unfortunately, which somehow was going on a positive side when Ashraf Ghani took over. That was a big positive message. But let's not give up our hopes. Taliban, I think, by these two leaders, they have come from Qatar, are indicating willingness. But as we discussed during this 1 hour almost of discussion on the subject, the Taliban now feel that now is the time for them to gain the position of strength. And they are gaining. They proved in Kunduz, they proved in Helmand, and they are proving every day. They are continuing. Even very neutral analysts have considered that 70+% of the territory today is under the Taliban control. Some go even to 90%. Other than the major cities, the countryside is under their control. And cities, some of them say they do not want to take over because sustaining it would be difficult, so keep bothering. For the government, it is difficult now to defend. Now, if that be the position, then why would they talk? But if they are coming here to talk, I would say it is a positive side, and the Afghan government should not totally say no to it.
And we, on our part, should welcome it. So, Brigadier, whether peace in Afghanistan?
Actually, I would just add one. The Afghan Taliban presence, Qatar people coming in. We need to understand first that there was a rumor, I would say, there was some word in the media and everywhere that there's been some serious division between the Taliban, Mullah Rasul and of course Mullah Yaqub, and then Mullah Mansoor, Akhtar Mansoor and all these people, and Haqqani's son, the Siraj, etc., and all those things. But I think...
but I believe it has been resolved.
All those things have now proved that no, there is no serious division within them. They're fighting, and they're fighting for one cause. And
in fact, the spring offensive has been given the name of
Omari
after
so that indicates that they... So coming back, there were some people who said that the people sitting in Qatar, they are not interested in talking. And then if you recall, army chief went to Qatar, and there was some discussion with the Qataris also that let them, give them a force or a pressure or leverage, whatever you
can.
Or a nudge. Or whatever. So this is the indication that yes, they want to talk. Everybody wants a peace. They have lost hundreds of thousands of people over last 30-35 years, I would say. And Afghans are not war-loving, they're peace-loving people. Because yesterday we were talking in a seminar, and that was the reason that we were talking on refugees, and we said they must go. I said we were forced to become refugees. We are not economic refugees. We were thrown out of our country, and nobody would like to get out of his homeland, and we would like to go back, but we want peace in Afghanistan. So that is the reason. Taliban also wants peace. Afghan government also wants peace. But Pakistan is striving. Pakistan is striving hard, and I think the two gentlemen who has come is with the same intention. Although Ashraf Ghani has said no talking and they have to be dealt, and they are one kind of a terrorist, no good Taliban, no bad Taliban, all those words which...
But again, these are cliched. If you allow Ankar, actually running short of time now, before I conclude, there's one question I wanted to ask you, Ambassador. The status of the Afghan refugees, they have been here more than 3 decades now. Are they being used as a pawn? Because I'm sure they never came here with the intention of staying 3 decades or more. are they being used as a pawn in the talks between Pakistan and Afghanistan?
Well, it's difficult to say yes or no, both, because one can justify both sides. But I think originally this was not meant that way. They came obviously from the Russian invasion, fearing all kind of brutalities. But then once they came, the country started boiling, and peace was not returning to the places where from they came. Now another question is that if peace is not returning into their villages or that part of the provinces, why can't they go to the other provinces which are comparatively safe? Like say the north, Mazar-e-Sharif, instead of waiting in Peshawar or in Karachi, why can't they go back to Mazar-e-Sharif? But then let's not forget they are living here for the last more than 30 years now. Their children were born here, brought up here. They are more Pakistanis than Afghanis.
And some of them have never been to Afghanistan.
Never been to Afghanistan.
So many.
Now I think we have to seriously consider, and I believe there is some law in our system that if a child is born and brought up and stays for a certain period of time, that can be given the nationality,
citizenship,
other than diplomats. One last thing I'll quickly say, that in Afghanistan, I think the Afghan government has also to come out of this demand that Taliban are militant, must be killed. Taliban are a force. They are fighting for a cause. That is a political force they should recognize and give them that status. Only then things will move on.
Point taken. You want to say something?
Just on Afghan refugees. Now, it has to be decided. What is it? Nationalization is not the answer. There are over 3 to 5 million Afghans who have lived here. So nationalization is not the answer. The second thing is that repatriation, that too is difficult. Peace and then repatriation. But the most important is that we have to set, and as the ambassador was saying, the areas where the peace is, at least get few of them, get 1 million, 2 million, let 1 million stay, but they have to decide it. I think it's a high time. We have had enough number.
Okay, that's
anyway, sorry for taking so much.
That's a cogent observation. Viewers, with this we conclude this particular discussion, and we come to one single agenda, that Pakistan and Afghanistan need to sink their differences because they face a common enemy. And to face that common enemy, the time is now ripe to have negotiations rather than pick up the gun, or for Ashraf Ghani to demand that we decimate the Taliban. The Taliban, please remember, are also fighting for their country, and they are not terrorists. I'd like to thank you, Ambassador. It was a pleasure listening to you. I'd like to thank you, Brigadier.
Thank you, sir.
Viewers, keep watching us. Hope to see you in the next program, inshallah. Allah Hafiz.